that, be that as it may. Hello everyone, it's Virginia. It is Wednesday night, September 29th, 2021, and you have joined me for the Dream in Color 72207.com Work Table Wednesday Live. I'm thrilled that you are here to visit with me, and I think you might have seen the promo or the little post I made earlier today. This is the card we are going to be making tonight. And you can see on my desk I have some scraps. We're going to be making this card. This is using the set Turtle Friends, which I think is great because I frequently need to have belated birthday cards. Now, you would think with me being able to make cards at my leisure and anytime I want, that I would always have birthday cards available. And while I do have cards available, it's not the supply issue that I have, it's the timing issue. So while I also have birthday cards available, I'm going to go ahead and make a stash of belated birthday cards because I need those as well. So what we're going to make tonight is going to be this interactive card. I found this online, and I'll have to tell you, I can't remember the demonstrator's name. It was Shell-ebrate or something along those lines. She had made this using the Turtle Friends stamp set and bundle, and I thought it was adorable. So here's the interactive portion of it. So you have this tag pull over here that opens and closes this part, and then you open the card, and then it says, "Happy belated birthday. Sorry I was slow." And then our friend, the little tortoise or the little turtle, is there in the bottom as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to making this. This is this is not a super thick card. I will say that when you prepare to mail this, let me find an envelope, just a second. When you stick this in the envelope to mail, you will want to make sure that you don't catch everything. And you will want to make sure that your tag, when we use this tag punch right here, but I think on the next one I'll probably push it even in a little bit further because you want this to be all the way down. This is going to get caught when I put this in the mail. So we will push that tag. That's all about when we do the construction of the card. So there's several things that we have to do before we construct the card. So again, let me welcome you to Dream in Color 72207.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the Midwest, i.e. I'm in Arkansas. And I am thrilled that you have opted to join me either live tonight or possibly on the replay. So tonight we're going to be using these 4 colors of ink. We'll be using the Misty Moonlight, which is an in color, the Granny Apple Green, Poppy Parade, and Crushed Curry. So you can see all of those colors right there, and you can see what colors they are. They're beautiful colors. There's some of my, oops, let me get that up further so you can see it better. These are some of my favorite colors. And the designer series paper that we're going to be using is the Pattern Play designer series paper, or excuse me, Pattern Party. That is a hostess gift. It's $18, but if you have a party with at least $150 in sales, you can use part of your hostess rewards to purchase this pack of designer series paper. It is a 12 by 12 pack. It is a lovely package of paper, and it is quite voluminous and very generous, and it gives you the opportunity to make a lot of things. So you can either make cards using this, or because it's 12 by 12, it makes great backgrounds for scrapbooking, and you can always cut it to dimension to use in any sort of 6 by 8 cards, or excuse me, 6 by 8 scrapbooks or memory keeping options that you have using the pocket page system that Stampin' Up! Has. So let's get started with this. There are a lot of measurements, and I realize that I don't have everything cut. I was busy with another meeting before we started this call, so let me get all of my pieces cut, and this will give me a chance to tell you a little bit more about this. So as you can see, I have a card base of crushed curry. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4, and I use the bone folder to make a really nice crease there. I have a piece of Poppy Parade, which is 4 4 by 5 1/4, and then a piece of the Designer Series paper at 3 3/4 by 5. So these are basically, each one of these, I'm just dropping down 1/4 of an inch on the measurements each time. You can see I'm dropping down. Now, the other thing we're going to be using tonight, it's going to require that we use our trimmer for the interactive portion of the card. But before we do that, let's get the rest of these pieces of cardstock cut. So for the front, we need to have a piece of crushed curry that is 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. So let's just pull this paper trimmer out and see what we have. I might just have lucked out that that is 2 1/2. That's awesome. And then let me cut it to 2 1/2 again, because you're going to be making a series of squares. So there's the first square. This will be the cover, goes in the front. And then the second one is 1 7, no, it's 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. And I'm going to have to get another piece of cardstock out. This is one that I've worked on a little bit today. And like I said, I found this online, a consultant in possibly Detroit, based on her accent. So 2 1/8. So what that'll be is, these long marks on your trimmer are 1/4 inches. So you're going to be at 2 inches here. This is 2 1/4 is the next one over. So you're going to be halfway between. And if you look at the trimmer, there are the little tick marks that will tell you exactly where 2 1/8 is. So it's right. So here's 2. Here's 2 1/4. Half of that is 2 1/8. If you remember your fractions from what, 6th grade, 5th grade, 4th, whatever grade it is. So use that right there. So 2 1/8. So we will cut that to 2 1/8. 2 1/8 by 2 1/8, because this is a square. Okay, so we have our 2 pieces of crushed curry cut. I'll move this over here out of the way. Now, on top of the crushed curry, we will have a piece of basic white cardstock, and I already have that out. And similar to the matting on the front, you basically drop everything 1/4 of an inch. So on the large piece that's 2 1/8 by 2 1/8, you go to 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. So there's 2 1/4 right there. And then we'll turn it. And I'm going to trim this little piece off, because it's this corner of the page got caught onto my desk, and so it bent it up just a little bit. So 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Sorry, I had to make sure I had the right measurements. And let's just double check that to make sure. So that's going to fit perfectly like that. This is 2 1/8 by 2 1/8. So 1/4 from 2 1/8 is going to be 1 7/8. So let's trim this now to 1 7/8. And so all that is that second tick mark, because these are 1/16 of an inches, but it's going to be halfway between 1 3/4 and 2. It's going to be 1 7/8. We've done that. So 1 7/8 and 1 7/8. So we have those pieces cut. And again, let me get my scraps out of the way, and I'll stack those right there. Now, that's the easy peasy part of this project. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, oh, I forgot. You do have to have one piece that is 2 inches by 6 inches. Now, if you're very familiar with Stampin' Up, you know that, well, hey, Barb, glad to see you. Long time no talk. I know it's all on my head, because I was the one who didn't do it. If you're very familiar with Stampin' Up, you know that we love a 2-inch wide tag. We can do wonders with 2-inch wide tags. In this particular one, you're going to start with a 2-inch by 6-inch tag. So, and then while you have your trimmer out, let's go ahead and score this at 2 inches. So we'll use our score blade and score it at 2 inches, and then we're going to scoot it over and score it at 2 1/4. And that's going to give you the following profile on your paper. So you'll see this. You'll have 2 different folds. And in fact, it'll look almost like the side of a box. You can see that now. Let's see if you can, let me get that where you can see it. See what sort of delay there is. So you've got that 1/4 of an inch. You could almost call it a spine, but really it's not. So, okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to affix our designer series paper to our first layered mat. And you're going to say, gosh, you're already putting paper together? What's going on? Well, just, you'll want to see this. This is fascinating. I know, it's fascinating watching me glue paper together. So let's use our, well, come on. Okay, well, let me just, oh, that's not pretty. Let's see here what's going on with my stamp and seal. So I've got plenty in the cartridge. Just need to, yeah, re-advance it just a scotch. Okay, so the one thing about the stamp and seal is that you can always pull the cartridge out and advance it manually if you need to, and that also gives you a chance to sometimes pull off some of this errant glue. Now, how we end up getting glue on all of these pieces, I don't know. It's sort of a mystery to me sometimes. But let's try this again. Ah, I feel it now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go adhere it on all 4 sides. And we still need to get adhesive there. It is just being a little persnickety tonight. There we go. And you're going to see what we're going to do in a second. Now, you could, if you had on hand the old classic label or basic label, I think it's called the basic label punch. It's the thin, narrow punch, but it is retired. And I'm going to double check to make sure I don't have it in my stash over here. I do have it in my stash. So this is an easy way to make this card. But I'm going to show you how to do it without it. So if you had this punch, which I said is the classic label, you can see you basically put it in and you're going to punch through 2 layers. Now, you can estimate that that is how far from this, assume this is the side. That means you're going to be basically 1.5 inches off the side. So what the other thing you can do is, using your trimmer, is, and you can literally eyeball this. I know that this is very discomforting to some people. So that's 1.5. So let's see, that's 1.5. So we're going to start it probably about there. You're going to say at about halfway. Let's pull it up here. Halfway down the card. So the card is 5 inches tall, 5.5 inches tall. So halfway is going to be 2 3/4. So we'll say 1.5, 2.5, 2 3/4. That's not right. It's not quite exactly 5.5. Okay. Well, so this is about halfway. So you're going to say I need it to be about 2 inches long, the cut. And so you'll make a cut about 2 inches long. And then you'll make another one, maybe 1/4 of an inch over. And again, you're just eyeballing it. And you basically want it to be the same dimensions. So any of you that have ever made hidden buttonholes, you'll know this is the same feeling. And then you'll just come in here and you trim that, and you're going to clip that piece out, and you'll clip this piece out. Now, what the bottom line is, this cut needs to be at least 2 inches wide, 2 inches long, so that you can get your tag through here. So you can see I still need to move this down just a scotch more. I need to trim just a little bit more down on both of those cuts. There we go. Just trim a tiny bit more. Okay, so now this is free to move. It's in here and it's moving easily and all is good. So now at this point, I'm going to turn this over I'm going to move my trimmer out of the way. And now I'm going to take one of my tag ends. So you can either punch this with one of our many, we have a lot of tag toppers, what we call tag headers, tag punches is what they're called. Or you can just do this manually. I like this tag topping punch, and this is one that has multiple widths, so you can punch it 2, 1.5, or 1. So I simply put my paper in and line it up on the 2 inches, and that's the widest of the platforms. And the other thing you can do is flip it over to make sure that your paper is straight in the punch, and then you simply punch it like that, and then you have your tag comes out looking like that. So you see that now. This is called the Delightful Tag Topper, which is in the current catalog. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to slip this in here like this, and you're just going to hold it there very gently and just sort of pinch it with your fingers, and you're going to flip this over. And you're going to now take your dimensionals, and you're going to affix dimensionals to the back of this first layer, taking care to not put dimensionals where it's going to interfere with the movement of the tag. So we can put one more there. Okay. And I know this looks like a lot of dimensionals, but remember that you're wanting to hold up the whole front page of the card, the front of the card, as well as maintaining some stability to the card, so that when you start using the sliding mechanism, it does not interfere with the what's the word I'm looking for? Integrity of the card. So just about finished with that. And we'll set that aside right there. Now then, we've got our tag still, and if you want, you can actually take this out, but you can do this leaving the tag on there, since you know where it is. Now we're going to lay our card front down, and we're going to put this on top of the card front, just like so. Now, before I go much further, I remembered that I want to put where my rhinestones are. I must have put them aside somewhere. Well, we'll do this without rhinestones this time. So you're going to set this aside. This is all where you are. And what you're going to see is that this is going to be part of the motion right here. But we're going to set this aside for the time being. Now, on a piece of scrap white cardstock, you're going to take the outline of the turtle. And because we're using the colors that are in this designer series paper, we're going to pick up the Misty Moonlight, and we're going to use that for our turtle outline. So let's take our Misty Moonlight, open it up, and we're going to stamp a turtle on our scrap white cardstock. Well, I got him right to the edge. And I'm going to turn him over because what do we know? Every piece of paper has 2 piece sides. Hey Susie, how are you doing? I've been thinking about you. Okay, so we have our turtle stamped, and then because it's a party, it's a birthday party celebration, we gotta have a party hat, so we're gonna stamp a party hat over here. Both of these are with Misty Moonlight, so we're gonna set this aside for a minute. Now, we're gonna come back with the shell of the turtle, but now I will tell you that this is a pretty juicy ink pad, and so I am simply going to stamp once into I'm going to ink up my stamp. I'm going to ink up my stamp in the Granny Apple Green, and then I'm going to stamp off once, and then I'm going to stamp that shell into the back of my turtle. And so you can see that gives it a little bit of a lighter image, which is exactly what we're looking for. And then before we put away the Misty Moonlight for the time being, we're going to take the sentiment. It says, it's time to celebrate. So we're going to stamp that on top of this shell, and you've got that. Now, before I forget, which I've already forgotten twice, I need to cut a piece of basic white to go on the inside of the card, because I'm using the crushed curry on the inside of my card. So let me cut a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4 to be the perfect size for the inside, because we're going to need to stamp on that as well. Just one, let me get that off. So we're going to stamp on that piece again with the, where'd it go? Where did my little turtle? So there are some little turtles in the stamp set, and so I'm putting in the little turtle. I'm going to stamp that in Misty Moonlight, and I'll put him right down here in the corner, because you know it's kind of fun to have a little something on the inside of your card, a la Patience. You know, she always puts a sentiment or something on the inside of her card. Now we're also going to stamp, while we have the Misty Moonlight out, I'm also going to stamp the Happy Belated Birthday. Sorry I was slow. We're going to stamp that up here. And remember, you put that on your block at an angle, so you don't have to worry about the direction that it's flowing, so that you don't have to try to line it up. Makes it a little bit easier to get it into your card sort of straight. So let me grab this Granny Apple Green one more time, and we'll just stamp off, and we'll stamp him in down here. He's just so cute. I love him. Turtles are kind of cute. Really, you know, our neighbors have a pet turtle. I don't think I've ever had a pet turtle. Our neighbors had one that lives in the neighborhood. It's kind of interesting. He shows up every once in a while. Now, while we've got these out, we're going to go ahead and take the light Granny Apple Green blend pen, which is an alcohol-based marker, and we're going to fill in parts of the large and the small turtle, because, you know, otherwise he looks like an albino turtle. And you know the rule, you start with light, and you can always layer in more color. So start with a light touch. And I like to use the brush tip just because it seems to work a little bit faster. And then we're going to come back here and do his back of his, oops, got out of the lines there. Got the back of his tail. So now I'm going to come back with the pen, the bullet point, and just shade in a little bit on the back of his head and the back of his neck, just to give it a little bit of shadow effect. And then I'm also going to color in the fronts of his the feet that look like tails. And then I'm going to put a little bit right here under his mouth, just a little bit of a shadow, and a little bit under his eye, just to give it some dimension. And you can see that that's giving it a little bit of depth, and so I'm just going to even out some of those inks. And I think that my Granny Apple Green white alcohol marker or blend is about to be retired. The brush tip has gotten a little worn down. These are 4.5 a piece, but you can only buy them in sets. So you can buy the dark and the light Granny Apple Green together. It's in a set for $9, but it's a great investment. Granny Apple Green is one of the colors that I use the most. It's good for spring flowers, it's good for summer colors, and it's also great to have during the Christmas season. Now, because I'm working in a much smaller space, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to use just the bullet point on this one to color in the turtle on the inside of my card. And so you can see, again, I'll do some shadowing on the back. Do some shadowing right there below the eye. I'll do his feet, his legs, little toes, get that double in. Get a little bit darker. And then, so there's the inside, the card inside, and then this will be the card front. Now, since it's a birthday party, you know, you gotta have a celebration, gotta have a party time, so we're gonna color in the party hat. So I'm using Pool Party because it's one of the lighter blues in this designer series paper. So I use Pool Party to give a subtle stripe. And then I'm going to put in the Poppy Parade. And I'm going to do the top of the hat. Make it look a little pom-pom on top of the hat. That's kind of festive looking. So, there you have that. And of course you've seen, well, it didn't bleed through luckily, but so there you have it. Now, under normal circumstances, I would take this and I would grab my punch, because there is a cute punch that matches the turtle, and I'd punch him out. But unfortunately, this turtle has been back ordered for some time and was a non-orderable. But I checked today and it's back on the orderable status. This whole bundle is. And I'm hoping that my turtle I've been waiting for some time will be coming in the mail very soon. But through the magic of television, we'll come back to this. So, before we get too far down that road, let's also remember that we don't want our turtle just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. So we've got a little grass. And so this set has a little bit of grass. And so we're going to get these little clusters of grass, and we're going to stamp them across the bottom. And let me get my scrap. I've got just a piece of scrap paper, and you know, I sometimes will use my big stamping mat, but I think that right now that this is providing enough cushion, just this piece of paper, other piece of cardstock, and I'm just stamping it across here, and some of it overlaps, some of it doesn't, and I'm just stamping across to get some grass at the very bottom of this page on the front. So we'll close this up again, and we'll take our light Granny Apple Green alcohol marker and just color in the grass. Now this, I love the look that this provides, and you all that have these blends know that because it's an alcohol based marker and it evaporates very quickly after you lay the color down, that it's great. It doesn't show streaking, and it's a good way to get a pretty consistent, you can get some shadowing in it, but it's a good way to get consistent color down on your cardstock. So now we've got that ready to go. So we're going to let that dry while we're working on the inside sentiments. That's the large piece of basic white. Now we're going to take the small piece of basic white that we cut earlier, and we're going to stamp on the inside of it, Happy Birthday. Now, you'll notice, let me take him off. Happy Birthday is a single sentiment, but we're only going to use it on 2 lines because it won't fit on there. So I do want to make sure it's clean before I get started. Got a piece of scrap paper over here. Stamp off. Make sure the water's off of it. There we go. And I'm going to stamp with the Poppy Parade, but I'm only going to ink up the very first part of it. I'm going to only ink up the happy portion. So to do that, you simply line up your stamp over here so that you only get ink on the word happy. And so let me pull this up here, and you can see that I have happy there. Now I'm going to go ahead and wash this in my chamois. I have taken my chamois and cut it in half and put it in some of these half-size stamp cases. This is the normal size, and it will fit in our slimline stamp cases, and all you have to do is keep it moist, and then if you're actively stamping, rinse it out with just water once a week or so, just so that you don't get gunk in it. So now I've stamped just the birthday part, so let me come down and put the birthday beneath it. So there's the happy, there's the birthday. I'm going to go ahead and wash this, or rinse this piece off while I'm doing this, because red often makes it look like a crime scene when I've been stamping, and it gets messy. It gets real messy real fast. So let's close that. Now we are going to get our Misty Moonlight out one more time, because that's kind of bare sitting there. So let's grab our little hearts. This set comes with 3 sweet little hearts, and we'll just stamp those in Misty Moonlight and put those up here on the corner. And there you've got your 3 little hearts on top of your happy birthday. So we're getting close to being ready to assemble. I know you want to know how this comes together, because that's what I was most fascinated with as well. Before we do that, though, we've got one more piece of stamping to do. So, as I said, through the magic of television, or at least me getting pre-planning a little bit, I went ahead and fussy cut the turtle once, and so I'm going to put him right here, and then I'm going to stamp, because this turtle needs a friend. He needs a little friend, and so we're going to stamp, and I'm just placing the turtle there for a second, because we're actually going to adhere him to this page, to this piece, using dimensionals. But right now, that bird's just hanging out, waiting on his buddy. So pick up your dimensionals, and I will say the regular size dimensionals are perfect the size to fit behind the turtle's head, and then peel those off and put that on your card front right here, just sort of like you placed it, because you had the bird sitting there waiting on him. Now don't forget, you've got your party hat that I've already cut out, and one of the things that you can do, you know, on our dimensionals, oftentimes, I did mine in half also, Susie. Yes, I found it easier to use, is you can simply take this and trim it, because you want a real narrow triangle. So what I have done is just on the corners, I just barely cut a wedge out. Now, you can do this with the sides of your dimensionals. You can obviously take any of our adhesive sheets, the adhesive sheets that we have that we sell. The adhesive strips would also be something that you could trim down. And all you're going to do is take the backing off. And it's just making basically a custom shape dimensional to fit the party hat. And then we'll peel that off. And then we'll place the party hat right here, right on the back of his head. Rather jaunty looking, don't you think? Kind of cute there. So let's go ahead and affix that to this piece. So there's my stamp and seal. We're going to put that on there, just like that. And then, over here, we're going to fold this flat. And you see this, I think I'm going to go ahead and take that out, yeah. So this piece right here is only 1/4 of an inch wide. So what I'm going to do is I want to adhere this part of the card, but I only want it to be on just this part of it. So I'm going to be very careful how I place the glue. And you know, I don't want to put the tape runner down. It would be too wide for that. You know, you might use the tear and tape, and then all you're going to do is you're going to line this up, and you're going to center it right over that edge. But you want to make sure that this is the other thing that's happening. You know, I did not take a bone folder to this, and I should have done that. So let me take a bone folder and make it crease really nice and good. Same thing with this crease. You know, that's a good thing to do. Every time you make a crease like that, you should always put your bone folder and do that. So let's just slide that back in there. And we know, because we left room for everything. Now, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to attach your happy birthday to this next piece of crushed curry. And you're going to center that there. Then that piece is going to adhere right here on the front of this card. So let's take another piece of adhesive. This is where you just get busy with your stamp and seal. You just put layers upon layers. And you line that up so that it's hidden. And so you see it's completely concealed. So you're almost finished, but we still have one more thing to do. So what we have to do is take this, and now it's not on the, you can see where I'm putting it. I'm actually going to put stamp and seal on the white, but it's going to be on the 2x2 part. We're not going to put it, so let me find a pencil. This is the 2-inch crease right here, and this is the 2 1/4 right here. This is 2 1/4, this is 2. So we're actually going to put adhesive just on the 2-inch square. Put a couple of strips down because you want it to, actually I'm going to put 3 down. You want it to be nice and secure. And then you're going to fold it over. And then you're going to center this on the card like so. Now I'm going to pull this in a little bit further, and the reason why is because I don't want that tag hanging out too far when I put this in the envelope. So, almost finished. Here's your tag. You're going to open it. And it should, let's see, it should open. Why is it not opening? Oh, did I put it too far over? Hold on a second. I did put it too far. Oh, I see what I did. I did not mean to do that. Okay, so let's center this on the page. I did not need to put adhesive this far over, so let me put a little bit of powder down or something to unsticky that. So again, just like always, you know, this is a good way to show how to correct mistakes. In fact, what I'm going to do is take a tiny piece of paper. I'm going to trim a tiny piece and layer it. Maybe that'll keep it from being a problem. I'll just do this. Now I will come back and put adhesive down just on this piece right here. Maybe that'll be better. Man, I tell you what. Okay, so now look at that. So that's adhered to the back of the card, to the front of the card. You do that, you open it up. So the way we're going to finish off this card is very simply by using some of this organdy sheer organdy ribbon. This was in a kit that I purchased from another demonstrator, so I don't have it on the original spool. And I'm going to take this, fold it in half, and then sort of fold it upon itself to get it through this hole. And let's see, we'll just tuck it through this hole, and you can always use your take a pick tool to help you get stuff through your hole like that. Now I got that little loop. I'll take this, pull those 2 pieces of fibers through the, okay, come on now. And then that'll be your pull on your tag. And you can push this down into it a little bit, not too terribly much. I'm going to still work on that because I'm going to plan on mailing a bunch of these cards, and I want to make sure that they fit in the envelope correctly. And then here is the sentiment, and so we'll simply adhere that on the inside. And since it's at a 1/4 of an inch around, it was a little bit smaller. And then there is the finished card. So it's time to celebrate. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. Sorry I was slow. So that's the quick card to now. Now the thing is, if you don't have the turtle set, this is an easy project that you can convert to anything that will fit on an approximately 2.5, or this is 2 1/4 of white, basic white card stuff. But think of all the different things that you can do. This could be a flower. This could be any of these. I think that one of these times I may make it with the pig or with the hedgehog. That would be a fun one to use. And then what else can you use it for? Let me see. Snowflakes, pumpkins, reindeer. The puffins would be excellent to do. Just think about these puffins. Wouldn't they be fun to use? And they already have the the party hat, like whatever that is. They already have a party hat on there. Or even, while we still can get it, the counting sheep. Now these are a little bit larger than the turtle, but you could still use that. And if you were lucky enough to be able to get the dies during celebration, you can use those to cut the dies. And so there you go. That's just one of those things that you can do with your birthday cards. And so I just wanted to show you ways to take it. Now this is obviously, you know, we talked about this last time about copying someone else's idea. So this I did copy, and I did not copy it exactly, but it's pretty close to exact, other than I changed the sentiment and I changed some of the other things. But I wanted you to see that you didn't have to have the bundle, but now that it's available, this is a great bundle to get, the Turtle Friends bundle. So you get the punch and the stamp set, and you'll be able to make lots and lots of these cards. So just the head of the sheet. That would be cute too. That would be cute. It's a good idea, Barb. So anyway, thank you so much for stopping by to see what was on the work table this week. I'm hoping to start looking at maybe some Christmas cards, but I don't want to get too started too soon because I don't want to get burned out too soon. But thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you guys again next week. I'll get this uploaded on the to YouTube soon, I hope. And of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to DM me with your questions about how to put this card together, and I will put the dimensions out. And I hope to see you make one of these. And if you do, I want to see it, post it on the website, or send me a copy of it, and I'd love to see how it turns out. Thanks so much for joining me. Hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.